All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Monday, December 12th, 2022. If you've not done so already, give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. So, markets get a little bit of pumpage here before the CPI number tomorrow. We had a couple of contract rollovers. I want to point that out first and foremost because seeing a few people get excited here. Obviously, the ES rolled over, so many of you are aware of that. And the VIX current index is rolled over to the 23 contract. So we have a big gap up there as well. So the ES and the VIX were in contango as well. It's important to be aware of the fact that it's very typical for the VIX to be up ahead of a CPI number and ahead of FOMC as well. So we could see some volatility crush possibly tomorrow, regardless of what the number is. So we'll see what we get. We got a nice little pump here in the last hour or so of trading. We had kind of a flattish open, little flag, bigger kind of flag here intraday, and then kind of a move up. What do we make out of it? Well, it's really hard to make anything out of it, right? Could somebody be front running the long side? Could they have leaked it and it came in really soft? It's possible. I do have my suspicions with the what the number is going to be. Obviously, I shared that with members last night. So it's possible somebody's front running it. It's also possible this is just complete BS and they're just painting the tape. Right, so you never really know what's going on here. A lot of it's hedging positioning. You can see actually the VIXY here. And by the way, this is why these volatility products are so terrible. VXX is red on the day. VIXY is red on the day. These things don't track the contango. UVXY, just terrible products here. But in any case, you see the VIXY here as it was selling off each day. Started a bit up green with the spiders. In the back half of the day. Again, this is normal hedging and stuff like that. So let's not make too much out of this move here. Let's make, I would really honestly wait. I think the real move is going to come Thursday, if any. Remember, we do have a quad witching OPEX on Friday as well. So we could not even, we might not even get true direction until next week. That's certainly possible. We really got to wait and see if we get follow through here again for resistance levels on the spiders here. We do have that 200 moving average. This trend line, which was broken. And we still have a bear flag here on the daily, even despite the little pump today. So, this is still inside bar. 399.99 is the top. So until you close above that, you still have a micro kind of inside bar there on the daily. But again, 200 moving average back sloping trend line, and then this down sloping trend line, of course, which was already tested once before. You guys know I'm in the camp that I don't think we do anything other than make a lower high. And, if you look at these past bear market rallies, that's kind of what we've really done every time. We have a move up. And into this area, there's no news, right? There's no CPI, there's no FOMC. We just started to sell off, and it looked like a pullback until we got into those, the CPI. I believe one of these with the CPI or the FOMC. I think this was a CPI day. But it looked like a routine pullback. And before the top, the top was in before we knew it, right? And then we just had a nice dump. Same thing here. We just floated up. We didn't get any news here. We just pulled back, and then it went into CPI and then Jackson Hole. So it was like the top was in before anybody had realized it. And I think we're kind of in that situation here. At least, past performance suggests that is certainly a possibility here. So a couple of scenarios to look at. If we do make higher highs, then I'd say your likely upside target is up to that 420 area. And again, to put that trend line back on there, you also have that upsloping trend line there, which is a previous head and shoulder neckline. So those would be your areas here on the upside. I do not really expect that to happen. Maybe you could come up and fill this gap. We got pretty close. We never quite filled it. That would be the bull case. Any bear case would be any daily close below 390. I think the bottom, you open up a trapdoor really probably to this gap fill, but at least to the 380, 378 area there on the spiders. So those are the levels to watch really this week. But again, it's not, you can't really make too much out of today because you say like, oh, maybe somebody's front running it, but you could easily just as easily say they're just painting the tape and trying to trap bulls, so we don't really know what's going to happen. And we don't really care what the number is, do we? No, we just care about the market's reaction. So we'll see what we get here. Tesla actually took a pretty big beating here. Wondering if Elon is selling again, down 6.2% there on the day. I didn't really hear any news. I'm just checking the wire here. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything significant. It looks to me like there's maybe some more insider selling, maybe Elon doing that again. I know people are talking about this possible inverse head and shoulders, but this is just a really weak pattern here on all time frames. But in any case, Tesla on the weaker side today. Triple Qs here up 1.26%. And again, this is kind of the last indice that has not negated last week's, or I should say 2 weeks ago's, Powell pump candle. So we tested that low, and we've never closed below that. So the triple Qs still have a bullish pattern here on a technical basis, believe it or not. So we'll see what they get moving forward here. But again, a break of this trend line, a break of really that 270, that 280 level, really on a daily close. That opens a trapdoor to 270, and then ultimately to this gap fill, double bottom, etc. Russell 2000, again, got defended at that 50-day moving average. But again, we lost this level here. We closed below this pivot. So I think lower highs are likely in the cards here. The Dow as well negated that pivot last Friday. You see the green bar low there, and then there's last Friday. But again, nice little bid today. So those are the indices right now. Semiconductors also best friend of the market right now, as semis are a very good leading indicator, and they did not negate that pattern. So there is still a chance we can move up here, and that's really your bull case right now. Everything else is pretty weak at the moment. So IGV, Cloud Software did get a nice bid up 2.39%, but again, you close below this pivot here. So we have lower lows now. And again, I'm still expecting a scenario of lower highs or something of that nature. Transports did get a nice bid here, up 3% off the day. So finally getting defended at that 100 moving average. But again, that was a pretty good breakdown last week, and looking like kind of possible fake breakout of this trend line. And yeah, I do not like what the transports have been doing lately here, but it did get a nice bid today. So again, maybe it's hedging, maybe it's short covering. Who knows? It's really hard to make a lot out of it until we see whatever the move is after tomorrow, after Wednesday, and then do we see follow through in that direction? So again, it's hard to make a whole lot out of it right now. Interest rates here via the 10-year. 10-year did move higher here. The yield, that is, up 1.23%. 30-year up a little bit less here, only up 76 basis points. So I told you guys I like this level here on yields, and we got a nice little bid off of that level. We'll see if they continue higher tomorrow. We're looking at, so if we get a cooler number, like that would be theoretically bullish bonds. And if it's a hot number, obviously that's bearish. So it's hard to make a whole lot out of it right now. I do have a buy signal still on this, but at the same time, I'm kind of, strangely enough, I'm kind of leaning into the scenario where we get a cooler than expected number. I think they highballed the consensus. It's at 7.3%. I don't think it's going to come in that hot, and I think that's going to pump the market. But again, could we get a fake move here? I have a really good buy signal on the 30-year yields, that is, and I actually took that trade. So. And that's even with me expecting a cooler than the normal CPI number. I'm just trusting the charts here. But we'll see what we get. It's a tight stop. And yeah, I'm just got to trust the charts. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. So let's get over to home builders. XHB up 1.3%. Again, a stronger sector here has not negated this green bar or last Wednesday's, or 2 Wednesdays ago's green bar, and the chart is still okay. So a strong sector there. ITB, same thing. If I was going to be long anything into this week, I'd want to be long probably these home builders and maybe the semis. This is actually a good chart pattern here on the ITB, and maybe it does get up to 65, but you'd really need the bull case to play out with follow through for that to happen, if you ask me. VNQ. Again, same thing, holding up a little bit better. You do have some kind of higher lows starting to come in here, higher lows, higher highs. It's holding up. Again, I don't think it gets up to this target. It would require a lot of participation from the market, which I don't think we quite get. I just think there's too much technical damage really across the board. XLF here. Got a decent bid today, still below this red bar high though, so still kind of in that bear flag area. We'll see what it does when it tests this breakdown here. You got the 20 moving average above that. But again, this is a failed bullish pattern here. So we had a pivot low, you're inside of this green bar, you had another inside bar, all of them have failed. So now we're expecting lower highs here on XLF. Doesn't mean it can't get a bid, but it is, it is showing a lot of problems. And I talked about this a lot over the weekend. This is a breakdown and a major one. and again, I've been doing this long enough to know that when you see this happening in the financials without news, there's a serious problem. This means people are big money is bailing on these. So there's issues here. Credit Suisse, maybe it has to do with them. Maybe it's FTX contagion. I don't know, but I do know that there is something foul smelling around the corner. Anyways, let's get over to, let's talk about broker dealers. XBD, again, getting a nice little bid. Didn't quite get to the 460 level or that 50 moving average, but you know what, pulled back, got a bid today. It did lose this green bar. You still have this one though. So it's in better technical shape than the XLF, and it's holding up okay. But again, it's kind of the same thesis here. I'm not expecting higher highs currently. Anyways, over to energy. So crude up decently, up 3.41% today. It's got a nice little bounce, nothing crazy. And you know, I have levels that are, you know, we're pretty close to some good levels here on crude, but every time it gets close to a level, remember this trend line, I talked about it for months and months, and we kept this tail candle, it got so close, and then it, you know, it bounced, and I said, well, now that you got close to it, I don't really like it anymore. And then guess what happened? We got a bounce off of it, but it was really kind of a nothing burger, right? Like this wasn't really, I mean, I guess it could have been tradable if you were quick, but this isn't like a robust move that you would have, you know, you didn't get a lot of yield out of that. And now we're breaking through that trend line, and you know, now I'm wondering, do we come up here and make another lower high? If that happens, then the price targets drop a little bit, or the buy levels drop a little bit, because every time you get closer to a level and you don't hit it, that level gets weaker. So in any case, crude up 3.42%. We'll see what it does tomorrow. We'll see if we get follow through or not. Maybe it, you know, back tests this trend line and gets rejected. But for right now, it's hanging in there, so we'll just leave it at that. XLE getting a nice bid, so it looked like a good exit for me on my short last week. We exited right around 3:30 before the bell, and that worked out nicely as we got a gap up today and really erased almost, basically all of Friday's losses. So we'll see what this does. I think max upside right now is probably about 88, so that's going to be you're basically retesting this breakdown area. You also have the 50 moving average right in that area, so we'll see how it responds there. But nice little recovery for XLE and XOP, as well as OIH actually closed back above this little pivot here. So it's hanging in there okay, but this still has lower target moving forward here, but a nice little oversold bounce for these energy names. Nat gas all over the map. Big gap up into the 200 and then pretty much faded all of that. So we'll see what it does at gap fill. I mean, guys, I can't do anything with this right now. I mean, look at this. So 474, and then you know, move up here, you flag, you gap up to 725, then you crash down to 575, then you rally up to 750, then you fade, and then you gap down, and then you go to 550. And I mean, this is like, it's like it's like a casino. You know, it's like you might as well just play roulette here. There's no really good pattern here. Now, we did hit a good level here. I was a buyer down here, but ever since then, it's just been all over the map. I mean, there's no discernible pattern here to really do anything with. This needs to tighten up. It needs to get buttoned up, but lots of volatility here. It's good to trade if you get the right levels, but right now it's all over the map. I don't want anything to do with it at the current time. Dollar index up 21 basis points, basically a nothing burger. Was pretty strong on an intraday basis, but again, we're just seeing jockeying for position. We had a nice little pop here, and now we're kind of curling back. I'd say this is vulnerable. So I told you guys, 102, 102.50 is probably max downside, and that's certainly possible if we get a bid on CPI, or the market gets a bid on CPI rather. So we'll see what we get here. I wouldn't make too much out of it. Again, I'm just going to defer to tomorrow and see what we get there. Gold down 1% on the day. Again, just kind of chopping around that 200 moving average. If gold does more backing and filling, it can have another leg up. I don't see any issues with it currently. Silver, an inside day here. This does need to pull back though. And then platinum, bit of a reversal day here. Again, I'm kind of watching that 1,000 handle. I'd like these two trend lines here to kind of intersect. If you can get something like that, it could give you a possible another little pop to the upside. Anyways, over to Bitcoin. Again, kind of a nothing burger here. You still have this kind of bullish pattern, and then another micro bullish pattern inside of that. So maybe it's looking to get a bid here. And the more consolidating it does, the more of a chance it can pierce that 50 MA and maybe even go test 18.5. I know I said 18,000 previously, but if it consolidates a little bit more, it can possibly get up to maybe 18.5. The only thing is every time, this chart's so weak. It's just, these bullish patterns are not playing out for much, right? You're not getting a lot out of it. And again, the big picture, this is going lower here. So I don't even know if this is a tradable long at this point. But anyways, back over to the market. So spiders, again, levels here. Any close below 390, that opens a trap door. And really going forward, if we do pump, we got the 200 upsloping trend line, downsloping trend line. And then, of course, this big gap here would be kind of like your max upside in the near term, if you ask me. But I don't think we make a higher high personally. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. And we'll see what the number is tomorrow. We don't care about the number. We just care about the reaction. Come find me at carnivoretrades.com. We'll talk to you all tomorrow.